what real reason is there for Israel to compromise?
Well, Secretary Blinken said it when he got off the plane, which is that Israel has now accomplished most of its goals with respect to Hamas. It's decimated Hamas's military capacity. It's retaliated against the Hamas soldiers and others who committed the violent acts against Israelis and citizens of Israel on October 7th. And importantly, it's taken out the leadership of Hamas. And so Blinken is saying, you've accomplished those things. Now let's turn to what's in Israel's permanent and future strategic interest, which is to have a ceasefire in Gaza, to have the hostages returned, and to have a solution for Gaza that ultimately allows them to be in their own state with the right to self-determination, but without Hamas as their leadership. And this is the argument that Blinken is making. And it's an argument that appeals to many Israelis, although it may not appeal to Netanyahu.
Okay, well, we also have this coming in that the IDF is confirming that a drone launched by Hezbollah in Lebanon struck an industrial zone. Which is the more attainable ceasefire, Hamas or Hezbollah?
Well, both have a number of difficulties. I would say, well, let's talk about Hezbollah for a second. Okay. You know, Israel has taken out the leadership of Hezbollah as well. And because they took out Nasrallah and then they took out Nasrallah's replacement, we don't even know who's in charge of Hezbollah. And so we don't know what Hezbollah's agenda is. It's certainly going to be retaliatory. It's certainly going to be vengeance. So I do think we're far from having a detente between Hezbollah and Israel. I think Hezbollah wants blood, and I think Israel probably thinks they still have military targets inside Lebanon that belong to Hezbollah that it wants to take out to further decimate the capability of Hezbollah. So I guess I would say we're further away with Hezbollah, but we're not that close with Hamas either, right, and with Gaza either.
Not great, any way you try to square it. A recent New York Times poll shows that the economy is still the most important issue to voters at 27%, while foreign policy stands at just 3%. How much do you think the war in Gaza will tip the balance this year? And answer that question in two scenarios, if there's more escalation between now and Election Day or there isn't.
Well, I think certainly Biden and Harris do not want more escalation. And I think there's a fear that a further escalation, especially between Iran and Israel, that made people worry that there's going to be a long-term war between those two countries, could hurt Biden and could hurt Biden and thereby hurt Harris because she's his vice president. And so they're pushing for calm between these two countries. But I also think that, in the end, these things do need to be resolved. And that's why Blinken is over there pushing for a ceasefire. I also would say, with respect to the election on November 5th, Michigan is an important state. It's a swing state. It has the largest Arab American population, and many of them are upset with Biden and thereby upset with Harris, although many of them also recognize that Trump will probably be even worse for their cause, that he's probably going to give more of a free pass to Netanyahu, and he's been anti-Muslim and said anti-Muslim things. So there's a tough choice for those Arab Americans in Michigan, but they remain a very, very crucial contingency for the election in Michigan, which is such an important key swing state.
And we did see the former president in Michigan yesterday outside of Detroit with that key voting bloc in Michigan coming up on stage and offering the former president support. Former State Department official David Tafuri, thank you so much for joining us. Please come back.
Thank you.